Welcome to Let's Talk Lungs with Bethany from Lung Saskatchewan, dedicated to connecting you with lung health experts, key opinion leaders, and people with lived experience who share lung health information and personal lung journeys to inspire you and those you care for to take your best breath. This podcast is recorded on Treaty 6 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, Nakota Sioux, and the homeland of the Métis.
Hello, everyone. For those of you who follow the Let's Talk Lungs podcast, you may be wondering who this unfamiliar voice is. Well, I'll be joining Trent, Lori, and Nurse Jill as a host for the show. I'm Bethany Verma, and I am the Health Promotion Manager at Lung Saskatchewan. One of my favorite programs that we manage at Lung Sask is the Saskatchewan Quits Facebook support group and annual Quit Smoking Challenge, which is why we're here today. This episode of Let's Talk Lungs is proudly sponsored by Nicorette, a longtime friend and supporter of lung health in our province. Nicorette has stood alongside Lung Saskatchewan for 5 years as a proud partner of the Saskatchewan Quit Smoking Challenge, helping thousands of people take those brave first steps towards becoming smoke-free. Their dedication to supporting people through one of the toughest journeys, quitting tobacco, reflects a deep commitment to healthier families and communities. We're truly grateful for Nicorette's continued partnership, their compassion, and the real impact they make every single year. On today's episode of Let's Talk Lungs, I'm joined by Jenna Anderson, a licensed pharmacist and the manager of professional practice at the Pharmacy Association of Saskatchewan, and Leon Ferguson, one of our wonderful Saskatchewan Quits ambassadors. Today we'll be chatting about all things quitting, what supports are available, how to navigate nicotine replacement therapy and cessation medications, and tips for quitting amidst the stress that could come with the holiday season, which is upon us. Leon, we'll start with you. You had quit smoking for a number of years, and then some stressors caused you to pick up a cigarette again. Can you tell us a little bit about your quit journey and what that was like?
Yeah, thanks for asking me. Thanks for having me. This is great. Really excited. Kind of nervous, not going to lie. My journey, I think it's just like everybody else's. It was, one that you kind of looking for something to get you to a place where you can relax for a few minutes. And, really, to be honest, this is the only drug I take. So it's kind of like circumstances, brings different kind of pressures. So I just found that at that time, I was running out of options. But I needed to have a minute to kind of gather my thoughts or just have a second or two to have that kind of relief. And that's when I decided I was going to try it. And I don't have an addictive personality, but apparently I do. Honestly, I just thought, what's the harm? It's only going to be a couple cigarettes here and there kind of thing, right? And then, one or two, skip a few, and now we're into serious smoking. And I was kind of like, well, what's going on here? And really, at the end of the day, it was just a simple lack of tools to figure out how to slow your mind and get to a better place and, pull the anxiety away and slow that depression, those critics and coaches in your brain, and just breathe it out kind of thing and just work. Because it's really, it's the when it comes at you, that craving, it doesn't last. If you can be tough about it, it's maybe 40 seconds, like to a minute. And if you crush some water and stuff, it's, takes it away. But I didn't know that back then.
Yeah. And you say you don't have an addictive personality, but we know that it really doesn't take one. Nicotine is like one of the most addictive drugs in the world. And so it is very easy to become addicted to smoking. So it's interesting that you mentioned that. And so the second time around when you looked to quit the second time, some health scares had kind of pushed you to quit. So what has helped you to start to cut back? Like you mentioned drinking some water. Like that's a great tip. Do you have any other things that have helped you cut back?
Yeah, no, Lung Sask, you guys are doing such a great job bringing awareness and education. That's the biggest thing I think really is the understanding what you're really doing to yourself. I mean, back then, no, I'm not 80, but, back then there wasn't like it is now, there wasn't access to information like it was. And you heard things, but you didn't really put much thought into it. And then obviously with my mom and my sister, with diagnosed with terminal 4 cancer, that's like, poof. And then my dad was taken from it. So it's kind of like, I'm not really into playing that game with the odds. So that's really what made me think, hey, plus I hate the smell of it. I hate the taste of it. I hate everything about it. It's just bananas that I crave it, but it makes sense that it is the number one. That makes me feel better, actually. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. And sometimes it does take those life circumstances to really push us to find our why to quit. So thank you for sharing that. So like it really just sounds like you were looking for support and you were able to find support through LungSask and other avenues. And Jenna, a lot of folks don't know the role that pharmacists can play when it comes to supporting people on their quit journey. So whether it's providing prescriptions, counseling, navigating coverage, can you tell us a little bit more about the Partnership to Assist in the Cessation of Tobacco, or the PACT program, and what that is, and the kinds of services that pharmacists can provide and help people looking to quit?
Absolutely. So the PACT program, which is the acronym that we used for Partnership to Assist in the Cessation of Tobacco, it's a provincial-wide program where pharmacists can get trained to learn how to work with someone through their tobacco use journey. So the first stage of that is looking at what's their stage of change. Like, are they pre-contemplative? They're not thinking about quitting yet. Are they thinking about it but not quite ready? Are they ready and they want to make a plan? Or are they just quit and now they need that support to continue on? And so the program offers training, as I mentioned, and offers training surrounding how do you work with someone to create a personal quit plan that's going to be very specific and individualized to them? And it really looks at both what we can do from a pharmacologic standpoint in terms of, are there medications that we can use to reduce the cravings, like nicotine replacement therapy patches or gum or the other things that you can get over the counter, or as a prescription medication, something that might help with that withdrawal as well. But it also really discusses the behavioral changes that are needed in terms of looking at someone, their habits, in terms of why do they smoke, when do they smoke, what does it give them, what are they likely to experience for triggers, and then working with them to make a plan to address that and to have strategies when they get hit with those cravings, and then to offer follow-up support. And pharmacists can offer follow-up support for up to 1 year post-quit. So just touching in with people, on their quit day, that first week, the first month, and then every subsequent month to see how they're doing. And, obviously celebrate with them when they're successful, but also help them to navigate any slips and relapses. If they, slipped up, they had a cigarette, now they want to resume their quit journey, whatever that looks like. So I'm just very passionate about the program because it is so individual, and I love that we offer it to our patients in Saskatchewan.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think a lot of people don't know that program is out there to support them on their quit journey. So that's wonderful.
And I should mention, because you also asked what pharmacists can do in terms of prescribing. So specific pharmacists will get training in PACT, and that information is available. You can call the Pharmacy Association of Saskatchewan to find out who in your area has that training, or you can also ask your local pharmacy if anyone there is doing it. We do have information on our website as well. But over and above that, every pharmacist in Saskatchewan has the ability to prescribe for nicotine addiction. So we can do an assessment of patients, see if they're eligible, and it's based on your own specific factors like medications you're on, conditions you have, patient-specific factors that are involved in that assessment. And then if the patient is eligible, the pharmacist can actually prescribe prescription medications to help manage withdrawal symptoms like varenicline, which is commonly known as Champix, or bupropion, which is commonly known as Zyban, or can also help someone work with nicotine replacement therapy as well.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, great to know that support is available, because I do think that the pharmacist's role is evolved over the last, recently in the last couple of years, and it's good for people to know what's out there and how they can be supported. So not only can pharmacists prescribe medication, they can also provide counseling if they've got the PACT training, which is an amazing resource, and it's great that Saskatchewan residents have that available. But speaking of medication, and you've mentioned a couple of them, it can sometimes be hard to navigate what coverage is available to cover quit smoking medication. So can you share a little bit more about the coverage in Saskatchewan?
I can, yeah. So I can give you kind of the general rules of thumb, because with so many things in healthcare, it is very individualized. So for specific information, for anyone listening specifically, I would recommend going to your pharmacy that you normally deal with if they have your drug plans on file, and they'll be able to give you better guidance, or they'll be able to put you in touch with who you should call to ask. But in general, I can tell you that most private insurance plans, which we coin third-party plans that somebody might have through work, those will often cover prescription medications like bupropion or varenicline, but not so often the over-the-counter products like nicotine replacement therapy. However, you never know, so definitely contact your plan. I can tell you that the same rule of thumb applies for people on the seniors drug plan. If you are eligible for that, it's generally the same rule of thumb where the prescription medications would be covered based on your normal coverage amounts, but not the nicotine replacement therapy. Similarly to that would be people on supplementary health, which would commonly coined Plan 1 and Plan 2 in the province. So again, commonly it would be the prescription medications, but not the over-the-counter. For people that are under the SAID program, which stands for Sask Assured Income for Disability, you can actually sometimes get prescription and over-the-counter nicotine replacement products covered, but patients need to reach out to their individual caseworker to discuss their personal eligibility. We also do have some coverage for people that are under federal insurance. So people that have NIHB, they can get both over-the-counter nicotine replacement therapy and prescription medications covered, but it does have to be prescribed. So that can often be done at the pharmacy. So just touch base with your pharmacy to get more information. And then similarly, Métis citizens can purchase their nicotine replacement therapy, or if they are getting a prescription medication, and they can reimburse that cost with sending their receipts into Métis Nation, Saskatchewan. Again, the amount of coverage that you'll receive is individualized, so just touch base with the organization if that suits you. But hopefully that helps give some information. There's just so many plans. So really, at the end of the day, the best rule of thumb is just go talk to the pharmacist that you are normally dealing with, or the pharmacy team actually, because the technicians are great at navigating that information too, and they can provide you with some more information.
Awesome. Yeah, as you were kind of wrapping up, I'm like, if I could sum it up, it would be to talk to your pharmacist or talk to the pharmacy team, because, lots of individual options for people, and it's, always good to check in, but it looks like there are lots of coverage options available, which is great.
I didn't know any of those.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
The more you know, hey?
Yeah, like I'm out of here. I got things to do.
I got coverage to find.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So, Leon, we've just talked about medication and coverage, and this is kind of news to you a little bit here. But what are some of the methods that you have used on your quit journey? Like, has medication been a thing to support you, or other options for quitting?
Yeah, no, it's definitely try maybe another journey here, but I actually tried the I can't remember what it was called, but it was the gum that you chew.
Yeah.
And I found that honestly I wasn't smoking enough, because that when I was chewing that gum, it was like so much more nicotine.
Oh, more nicotine than you were used to.
Yeah, it was kind of like, whoa, that's a lot. And I found that it was just maybe a bit too much for me, so I decided to stop that. But it served its purpose, no doubt about it. But then otherwise, I think I kind of went down a different path than most. I started to really figure out why I wanted to smoke. It's always the why, right? Mm-hmm. And really did some work on myself and just figured, what's causing this? Like, what's the root cause of this kind of craving, and, what's triggering it, so I can maybe deal with that. And then that'll, secure me for potentially other things that might come down the road here. So, kind of what I found about was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like how the brain thinks and emotions and whatever, but you can be an observer of your thoughts, or you can be one that wants to engage in all of your thoughts and try to solve all your problems, and good luck. I think we talk negative to ourselves like 85% of the time. So
that idea of mindfulness, just observing the thoughts going through your brain.
That's right. Yeah. Observe them, but don't try to solve them, kind of thing. Yeah. I didn't know that we have like 80,000 thoughts a day.
Wow.
So you think about all that, put 85% of that in there. It's like, whew, yeah, I can see how that happens. But yeah, it's really difficult to just be an observer sometimes, because you especially for people like myself, the looping of the, ruminating over the same things, like, oh, let's get this solved. So that's actually what was the root cause of it. And that's essentially how I started navigating through, is just kind of like, oh, okay, this is one of those bad boys coming in.
Thinking about your thoughts.
Thinking about my thoughts, yeah. And I just kind of then all of a sudden disarmed them, and now it's like, okay, I've watched you go by before and life wasn't so bad. So see you later. Oh, there he goes. And it was just really that fast. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And I'm glad that you mentioned that as a tool to quit smoking, because a lot of our SaskQuits community want to learn more about mindfulness, or they've tried it and they really like how it can, kind of reframe their brain. So so thank you for bringing that up.
Reframe your brain. That's a good one. That's a t-shirt.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, I love that.
Thinking about quitting or cutting back smoking? Join the Saskatchewan Quits Facebook support group and register for the annual Saskatchewan Quit Smoking Challenge anytime before February 28th, 2026. To sign up or learn more, visit saskquits.ca.
At the very beginning of the episode, I briefly mentioned the Saskatchewan Quit Smoking Challenge. This challenge supports individuals on their journey to quitting or cutting back smoking and features resources, quit tips, support, and of course, some great prizes. Leon, you are a quit ambassador for this challenge. Can you tell us a little bit about why you wanted to share your quit journey in this way?
Oh, that's a good one. Thanks for the question. I think it's kind of where I am today. That was the beginning. I didn't even know, you don't know where you're going with life. You just, some, I guess, think they do, but you take one day at a time sort of thing. And now where I'm at in life and what I stand for is a little bit different. So priorities change. And to me, I think, it's a responsibility for myself, nobody else, to do what I can to be proactive in supporting people. If I can help, then I'm definitely going to jump to the pump there and get it done. And really, that's what it's about. And I think if, we all try to do a little bit, don't go out of your means, but just to do what you can, our world's going to be a healthier place and in a better place. So I always say, be kind to yourself and be kind to others. And so that's what it's inside of that. So yeah, really, that's as simple as it gets.
Yeah. No, thank you. And we so appreciate you being involved, because we know our SaskQuits community takes encouragement from quit ambassadors and their stories and journeys. So yeah, we really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
All right. Thanks.
And Jenna, the Pharmacy Association of Saskatchewan has been involved with Saskatchewan Quits pretty much since the beginning. We're going on 5 years, and it's been a huge support because a lot of our participants have questions about cessation medication and nicotine replacement therapies, or NRTs. And so I'm going to drill you with a few questions that we get a lot from our SaskQuits community. So one of them is, can you combine NRTs, or nicotine replacement therapy, and other cessation medication?
Yeah, no, thanks. That's a great question. So I guess a blanket statement, I'll probably say this a few times throughout, is that it's really hard to make generalized statements that apply to everyone. So always go and consult with your pharmacist or a pharmacist if you don't have one you regularly see, and they're going to be able to look at your specific situation in terms of your specific medication regimen, what you take for over-the-counter products, health conditions like allergies, contraindications, which just means like a reason you can't take a drug, that type of thing, and they're going to be able to make recommendations specific to you. But in general, what I can say is that we don't normally recommend combining nicotine replacement therapy products, so like the patch or nicotine gum or the inhaler, things like that, with varenicline, which is Champix, just simply because it can increase your nausea. However, if you are going to try Zyban, which is the name of that is bupropion, is the chemical name, I guess, or the generic name, then you can combine it with nicotine replacement therapy if you want as well. But bottom line, if you have questions like that, just go talk to your pharmacist, and they're going to be able to look at your specific situation and make a recommendation that's really the best for you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have an expert to be able to tell you, hey, this could increase your chance of success.
Exactly.
Awesome. Another question that we get asked a lot in our SaskQuits community is cessation medication and like drug interactions. So can you tell us a few things to watch for if you are taking a quit smoking medication?
Yeah, drug interactions. So basically, if two drugs that you're taking interact with each other and cause some sort of a symptom or an adverse effect, we call it, like something negative, we watch for that with anything that you're taking, whether it's more than one prescription medication, if you're taking over-the-counter products like vitamins, herbals, those also cause interactions with prescription drugs, which people don't realize. They also just cause interactions with each other. It's very, very individualized. I can't even list how many, like thousands upon thousands of possible ones. So really with that, again, your best rule of thumb is to go talk to your pharmacy, indicate that you're thinking about quitting or you just quit, because they can update that on your profile. They can screen your medications that you're taking. You can have a conversation about anything you're taking over the counter, like Tylenol or vitamins or a herbal product, to see if those are going to also cause interactions. And one thing that's really interesting with that is that the act of quitting smoking actually does change how your body metabolizes or eliminates certain medications. So your pharmacy team wants to know that, because they might actually need to adjust doses of drugs that you're taking to account for the fact that now that you're not smoking, your body is not eliminating or processing medications you're taking in the same way. And so you might need a dose adjustment. And a great example of this that I think everyone can probably relate to is caffeine. So if you smoke a cigarette, when you light it, it creates what are called hydrocarbons. And those hydrocarbons actually have an effect in your body where they cause your liver to process things faster. You can kind of think of your liver as like a processing plant within your body. One of the things it processes is caffeine. So if somebody is smoking, they're actually processing and eliminating caffeine 40 to 70% faster than somebody who's not. So if you think about that, oftentimes we'll hear when people are quitting, they're like, oh my goodness, like I have such bad insomnia, I can't sleep, I'm feeling super jittery. Often they are also drinking caffeinated products. And so often they don't know that, and they're drinking the same amount of coffee they always did, but because they have no longer using cigarettes, that caffeine is sitting around in their system for twice as long, and it's causing a lot of that effect. So one of the common things that I'll recommend to people I'm working with when we're planning out their quit attempt is we're going to reduce caffeine to about half your normal intake.
Wow. And that's good to know, because, people might just attribute it to being a withdrawal symptom.
Yeah, absolutely. And so similar things apply to medication. So again, I can't tell you specific symptoms to look for that would be indicating a drug interaction, but I can just say, go talk to your pharmacist and the team, indicate that you have quit or you're recently quitting, and just get them to look at everything you're taking, whether it's prescription or non-prescription or herbal products, and then they're going to be able to analyze that and give you a very specific answer.
Yeah. And that's all good to know, because I think, a lot of people don't know, especially about the caffeine, and a lot of us drink coffee. So it's good to know. Awesome. Another question that our Sask Quits community asks quite a bit is whether it's okay to use something like the patch or gum long term. We know that sometimes people have quit smoking and it's maybe even been a few months or longer, but every once in a while they still need something to fight off a craving. So what can you say about the long-term use of NRTs? Like if I quit a year ago, but I have a craving, can I chew a piece of gum?
Yeah, so I guess I'll start with standard therapy, like length of time for nicotine replacement is 8 to 12 weeks, right? So 2 to 3 months. However, there are lots of different medical organizations across Canada that do talk about people using it for 6 months to a year.
Okay.
So like the average length of time that somebody might use NRT after they quit is for a year. And then there's also resources that talk about how using nicotine replacement therapy is not shown to have any negative effects if you do use it long term, and that people can use it as an alternative to commercial tobacco for as long as they need as a harm reduction strategy. So don't have that's kind of as specific as I can get, but lots and lots of organizations do talk about using it for longer than that 8 to 12 weeks. Like I said, definitely that 6 6 months is like something Health Canada talks about.
Okay.
1 year is something another organization that has guidelines surrounding tobacco cessation talks about. And then there's resources coming out of Alberta and Ontario that talk about using it long term as well.
Okay. Yeah, I think like an answer that I've heard is it's better to have a piece of Nicorette gum than it is to have a cigarette, ultimately,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So better for our health.
For sure.
And yeah, I think it's important that people don't feel like that's not accessible to them. Like, oh, if I can't have this, then I'd rather have a cigarette. We don't want them to have to pick up a cigarette after 6 months, right?
No, exactly. Like nicotine's the component of a cigarette or of commercial tobacco, like if it's smokeless tobacco that's
Right.
causing that addiction and that dependency physically. But the other chemicals, like there's so many that are causing all the harms that we know that commercial tobacco causes. So definitely it is very widely recognized that using nicotine replacement products is a harm reduction strategy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would say like regulated nicotine replacement products, like things that you can get in a pharmacy,
Yes.
things that have a natural product number or a DIN on them, which just shows that there's quality assurances surrounding how that's manufactured instead of other products that you might purchase online or elsewhere.
Right. Yes. Very important to note. Speaking of fighting cravings, we are heading into the holiday season, which can be a joyful time, but it can also be a stressful time, I'm sure we all know. Leon, do you have some maybe tips and tricks that work for you? And you've kind of alluded to this a little bit with mindfulness, tips and tricks that work for you to manage stress, like holiday or otherwise, to kind of combat the pressures and anxieties that can come with quitting, because holiday stress and quitting stress, if those are compounded, that can be a lot to manage. So do you have any tips or tricks for that?
Honestly, I don't know if I should answer anymore after that answer. I can't compete to that.
Jenna
how
is
you
a
follow
wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I was
for
like,
sure.
holy man, I'm sitting beside the Google machine here.
ChatGPT.
yeah, right on.
kidding,
I need a speed dial here. So let's talk about that after. But no, you know what? Honestly, and shout out to the pharmacists that are out there because firsthand, I know how special they are and they just give a different perspective, right? And they take the time with you to really talk things through. And especially when you're on different medications, I found that, within my journey and some of the things I had to go through, I had to be on multiple medications. So yeah, like the jittery thing, the caffeine component, like that's a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
Yeah. Because I when you said that, I was like, yeah, I remember that. Like I used to be jonesing out. That's an old term for like, inside you're kind of.
It's a millennial term.
Oh yeah, right on. All right. Okay. All right. Hey, so I'm hip because I'm not millennial. All right.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, it's not that easy. It's easy for me to say it now, and in this, where I'm at now. But again, be easy on yourself, right? Like it's the biggest thing is just really be kind to yourself through this process because there is going to be times you're going to trip up. But look, it's not the end of the world, so to speak. As long as you're really trying, you're going to get through it. Just believe in yourself, and if you need supports, like there are supports out there, or give me a call. But again, your pharmacist will set you up great. Then it's just time to kind of, when you're going into a stressful event, going in, don't overthink it, pun intended again. But when you are thinking about it, just try to really be that observer and just let things fly by a bit because there's nothing really you can do about it at that moment, right? And if you're in a long delay of cigarettes, I remember flying was really tough for me because I'd be in the plane for like 6, 7, 8, 9 hours with no smokes. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then the airports didn't have really anything where to go. So you had to like check out and then like go outside of the parking, like down the field kind of thing and like feel like you're just so that was really tough. And that's really when I started to learn, okay, this is you need tools, and it can't be something on you. It's got to be in you for the tool to work because otherwise situations like that, all of a sudden you leave it in there, you don't get it. Some people use the vape thing.
Yeah.
like that gets taken away. So it's kind of
That's right. The rules in society now, like the legislations and regulations, are very similar for vaping as they are for smoking. So you can't vape in the same places you can't smoke, right?
Right,
So you can't
yeah.
really use that as a
No.
quick fix in an airport.
And you know what? It's interesting because I was on the golf course the other day, like a little while ago. For those that are out there, we're in the winter season here.
Not in the snow?
Yeah, no. Although I did have a
ago.
picture last year with my golf club and driving on the golf course. That was pretty cool. But even then, you know, like the guys are out there and they got those vapes and stuff, and actually they smell good. Like they do. They got those berries and stuff, all these
Yep.
things. And so I'm like, holy. So I had a drag it, and I was like, whoa. What's the percentage of this? And it was way higher than what I'm used to. So I'm like, guys, you got to be careful. Like,
Yeah, well, and vaping is a whole nother conversation
Yeah.
that we could really go
Yeah.
into
Okay,
for
yeah.
sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, that's
cross that
okay.
line.
It's important to identify it. It's a tool that some people are using to try to quit,
Yeah.
but we do have to just be
Yeah.
educated on what it is that
it
we're
totally
breathing in.
humanizes things, I guess. You know, like the smokers are kind of still back in the park, in the corner of the outside the building there. And
Well, I think it speaks to just how dependency forming nicotine is. Like we kind of alluded to it earlier, but it causes higher dependency and at a faster rate than many like illicit drugs that you think about as addictive, right? And I don't think that society really thinks about that. And so I think that's a disservice because when people are actually quitting smoking or quitting using smokeless tobacco, you know, I feel like you said, you need to give yourself grace. And I feel like a lot of people really beat themselves up and they think like, I'm not tough enough to do this, but they're not recognizing that no, it's like a physical dependency that's happening in your brain, like very similar to other drugs. Like that nicotine from the cigarette or from the chewing tobacco or whatever is attaching to receptors in your brain. It's causing dopamine to release, which is your feel-good hormone. And it's activating that pleasure pathway in the same way that other drugs do. And I think like that's something that I often go through with people I'm working with because I think having an awareness of that is huge. Like when you're hit with a craving, understanding why, like understanding what's going on within your body chemistry is really important for, like you said, understanding that, okay, this is what's happening in my body. I've done this before. I know that it's going to last for me like 40 seconds to a minute and I can get through it. And then it's just like, what strategies do you personally have in place that help you to get through it? So I think it's an excellent point. Like the airport example is perfect because like you don't need to think about like how addictive is a substance to cause somebody to like be that inconvenienced when they're flying where they're going to like check out a security, go out in the parking lot, come back in. Like nobody wants to go through security at an airport. It is not a pleasant, fun thing to do. So I think it just really speaks to that. And it just speaks to that whole idea of like, we have to give ourselves grace.
Yes. Oh, I love, like, I just want to kind of touch on a couple of things that you've both said. One, giving yourself grace and being gentle. Like, I think that's why we call it a nicotine journey, right? Because like your journey may take you on some winding roads and you might have a cigarette and like slip up, so to speak. And it's so important to be gentle with yourself and like be mindful and also to celebrate the successes. Like if you work through a craving or, you know, you're triggered by something at a holiday party or something and you're able to work through that and not have a cigarette, celebrate that. I think that's so important. Another thing I want to like just thank you for mentioning is the nicotine and how it works in your brain, because I think a lot of people call it a habit. Oh, I got to kick the habit. I mean, there are habitual aspects of smoking, but it is not just a habit. It's a dependence.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people give themselves enough credit for how difficult it can be to quit. So thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Well, I think the listeners now will probably have a different perspective when they try. The biggest thing I want to make sure people know, like that I would have loved to have known, is don't beat yourself up. Like if you decide you're going to have a cigarette, like it's weird because when I was smoking, every time I finished a cigarette, I just beat the hell out of myself. It's like, what are you doing, man? You know better than that. Like, it's like so bad for you to smell. Like you're just like, what are you doing? And then it would be like, why did I even smoke? Like it put me in the worst situation there was when I started. But at that time, because of the stuff's going on the chemical side, you don't really have a chance. But if you can, you know, really, and 45 seconds to a minute, like that was like when it was like, I feel like my fingernails are going to pop off, you know? Like it's about 25 to 30 minutes kind of thing, but you can manage that. But it's really that peak is probably that period of time, you know, whatever, give or take. Yeah. And the more you smoke, the harder it is. So even like scaling back, you know, like that was a big thing for me because got into it hardcore. And then I was like, maybe I'll just try smoking like once an hour,
Yeah.
instead of like once a half hour. And that worked. I was like,
Yeah.
and that gave me a sense of accomplishment and like something to celebrate. And then I went, okay, let's try maybe hour and a half. And you guys are getting where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
But next thing you know, we're going half day. Next thing you know, we're going full day, smoking in the morning, smoking in the evening. And that's, to me, when you get up to the 1 or 2 cigarettes a day, it's a little different than a pack
Yes.
or a half pack, but at the same time, none of it's good. But
No, but cutting back is a great
That's
step
Yeah.
to
a great
take.
strategy.
Yeah.
That's something that we will often talk about, and we'll often
Now.
talk about the same things for people. Like, we'll kind of identify like the habitual side, like when do you smoke in the day, right? Like, there's a whole chemical dependent side, but like when do you smoke in the day? And then I will often recommend start by removing the cigarettes that are not your hardest,
Yes.
like not the first one in the morning, right? Because like depending on when you have that can really indicate how dependent you are. So start with like, oh, I usually have 2 or 3 in the afternoon. Well, maybe reduce it to 2 and maybe replace it with a piece of NRT or like do a mindfulness technique or whatever you've kind of set out in, and just slowly reducing it over time. And then the other thing that we often recommend is like, for the habitual part of it, like try to mess with your habit. Like take some time and reflect on what your habit is when you're smoking or using chewing tobacco, and then try to like rearrange that and mess with it, because then it doesn't key your body quite so much to have that craving at that exact same time.
yeah, it's really good. It's really good. I like what you said there too, because knowing your body and the timing, like it's kind of coming out now, like when to eat and when to take your medicines and things like that. Like you have a timer in your body, and I can't remember the term right now, but yeah, like some people should take their medications at a different time, like not 8 o'clock in the morning. Like who says morning? That like is 8 a.m. So it's kind of like learning your body, figuring out what's best for you. And yeah, that's a great perspective.
Yeah. I have one last question, and it's actually for both of you. I ask this question at the end of any quit smoking conversation that I have with anybody who's sharing advice. What is one statement of encouragement or like one most important thing that you would share with someone who's thinking about taking that first step on their quit journey? And maybe Jenna, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, thank you. This question was tough. I'm not going to lie when I was thinking about it. So I have 3 things that I usually focus with. We've talked about some of them already. So like my first thing is take the time to plan. Like I commend people when they've reached the decision that they want to quit using tobacco. But I do think it's so beneficial if you take the time to plan, like take the time to meet with a pharmacist leading up to a quit date, or take the time, if you don't want to do that, to like reach out to Lungs Ask or the Smokers Helpline, or even if you're just doing it on your own. But, reflecting like we've talked about today on what is my habit surrounding this? When do I usually smoke or use chewing tobacco? Like what triggers me? So what am I going to face? Like, is it stress? Is it a way to relax? What is it? So that you can build specific techniques around those triggers for when you get cravings at that time. If you want to talk about using a medication, like talk to your pharmacist or your physician about that, and then I'll give you time if you want to do that to let that medication kind of get going as you're starting to reduce, for instance. And then, so just really plan, like figure out who your support network is, things like that. My other one that I really focus on with the people I work with is celebrating your successes. Like something that we often do, depending on the person, some people don't want to do it, but lots do, is like figure out how much money you are using on like spending on tobacco products, because it is not a cheap thing, right?
No, it can be eye-opening for
It is
people.
huge. And so that is something that a lot of people will celebrate with like saving that money and using it towards like a trip, or like on their quit day they do something else nice for themselves or whatever. It doesn't have to be related to money. That's just a common one. But I think picking little ways to celebrate and then actually doing it is really important for that positive feedback of what you're doing, because it is a tough thing to do. So like on your quit day or your 1 month, or especially your 1 year, or like your quit anniversary, right?
Yeah.
Every year, like do something big to celebrate. It's a huge accomplishment.
It is a huge accomplishment.
So that's one thing. And then the last, and we've talked about this, is give yourself grace. Like that is a huge piece of it. Like we've talked about so many times, it is a journey. It is very common for people to quit and start again, or quit and slip and have 1 or 2, like, and that kind of thing. And don't don't feel like you failed and you can't do it. Just take it as a learning opportunity. What was the situation? Like, what was your trigger? And then reflect on how you can do that differently the next time. So I think just giving yourself grace. So those are my big takeaways that I usually talk to people about.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Jenna. And Leon, what's kind of that one most important thing that you would share with someone?
Yeah, I don't like following Jenna. It's just like really hard. It's like, yeah, what she said.
She stole your answers.
Yeah, no, but I mean, she's right. She's bang on. Like really be kind to yourself is the biggest piece. And I think a mindset, again, is really important. And, if you think too far in the past, you get depressed. You think too far forward, you get anxiety. So just think about like right now. And it's like what Lou Holtz said, the famous college coach. He says, focus on what's important now. And the abbreviation of that is win. So if you focus on like just now, be present with yourself, I think you can get further faster. But like to your point, if you slip up, and you're really giving yourself a shot, then don't beat yourself up. Like, you look at athletes, you got to practice to be good. Any athlete that was great at their craft, if didn't say they just picked up a stick and, was like Wayne Gretzky or Kobe or whatever, right? Everybody had to practice really hard. So this is no different. This attack sometimes harder because it's like to the point, it just really pulls into the chemicals in your body and things of that nature. But it's journey, not a destination, and enjoy the journey. Like I think you really learn about yourself in a lot of ways. So it's kind of fun that way. And it's okay to be not okay. Sometimes you try to put so much pressure on yourself to be like, oh, I gotta be better than this. I gotta be better. Well, you know what, man? Maybe not. Maybe not today.
Yeah. Take it day by day.
Take it day by day and just like keep trying, and if it didn't work today, doesn't mean it's not going to work tomorrow. And there's a lot of outside things that go on. And again, I think the more you know, and the better you're equipped. So knowledge is power.
Yes. Thank you. Well, amazing answers. And Jenna and Leon, thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an absolute pleasure just visiting with you and learning from you both. It's so helpful to learn where people can go when they're ready to take that first or that next step on their quit journey. And as we approach the holidays, which can be busy and stressful, it's important to equip ourselves with some tools and tricks to help manage the holiday stress in tandem with the pressure that can come with quitting. If you're listening and you're thinking about quitting, remember, a PACT-trained pharmacist can help you on your quit journey. Really, any pharmacist we've learned today can help you on your quit journey. So if you visit skpharmacists.ca/quit-smoking, you can learn more. You can find a pharmacist who's PACT-trained. And no matter where you're at on your quit journey, please join us in our Saskatchewan Quits Facebook support group and visit sasquits.ca. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support LungSask's Let's Talk Lungs podcast, please share it with others. Post about it on social media. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for new episodes, and leave us a review. Follow LungSask on Instagram @LungSask and on X @LungSask. That's all for this episode. See you next time.
Produced at
Sound Lounge by T-Bone.